Well, hello, everybody. We are officially live. We're a little bit late today. Normally, we're hitting the message out there to the world at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but today we're bumped it back about an hour. So we'll wait till you hop on, and hopefully you'll find us. There was quite a few comments about joining today, and always an enthusiasm to see Chris Logan, who is our expert in-house for virtual wholesaling real estate. Chris has been at this for a decade now, so he's perfected the craft and he's bringing so much value to the table. And I'll let him introduce himself shortly. But welcome in as you're finding your way to the message. Today, we're going to be focusing on getting back to the basics. Really important, Chris. We've talked and really thought, we need to just keep the foundation strong here and really talk to those that are either just getting started or they've been at it for a little while, Chris, and they need some refining. They need maybe some expert eyes on it and just delivering just a streamlined, simple approach to virtual wholesaling. We complicate the heck out of things out there, and there's so much noise that we like to tone it down a little bit here in our group and just deliver a simple message on a weekly basis, very consistently, so you can follow along and build week after week on what you're learning here and literally hit the ground running, in my opinion, with what you're learning. So welcome in. I see a couple of people dropping their names. Hey, Sarah, if you could please write your name. Sometimes we don't always see who's joining us. But we'd love to see who you are and where you're from. And even if you want to share where you market, that's a great way to network. But today we're going to be talking about FYBF. I'll let the code on that be revealed by Chris himself in just a second. But we're also going to be discussing motivated sellers, which if you're a wholesaler, you know as well as I do, that is incredibly important. So we're going to bring it back to the basics. Last week we hit steps 1 and 2, baby steps getting launched out there into virtual wholesaling and really making this business, a high priority and something organized and treating it like a business. If you do those things, you're going to be amazed because you're going to get the results. So applying what Chris is bringing to the table will be amazing. I see there's a few people on the call, so we're going to hand it over to you, Chris, if you don't mind introducing yourself. To those that might be scrolling by, stopping by, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your story and why you're here and what we see to do here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thanks for having me on, Tracy. I appreciate it. I love the lives we do each week and your audience and how engaged they are. So, yeah, just a treat to be here and get to drop some value for you guys. So, so my name's Chris Logan. Like Tracy said, I've been wholesaling houses for the last 10 years. I want to say around 6 or 7 years ago, we made the decision to go 100% virtual. And at that point, we decided that was the way that we were going to continue to do things and run our business, because we found that we didn't really start to grow at the level that we wanted to grow to until we started wholesaling houses from home, right? One of the things that I find that a lot of wholesalers do is they waste a lot of time driving back and forth to sellers' properties, driving to meet buyers at properties. And if you have a full-time job, that can be a lot, right? Because maybe you work until 5 or 6, and then you have to go meet sellers after that. I mean, it's just really hard to get in all your activity. You need to do deals, plus all that driving and everything. So we've simplified this to where you could do this from anywhere. Doesn't matter if you are outside of the country, in the country, on vacation, not on vacation. You can run this business from anywhere in the world, which is great. So it opens up a lot of freedom, time freedom, financial freedom for you. And that's the reason why I love it and I'm passionate about it. So, so I've been wholesaling for the last 10 years. I've done over 600 deals and grew our company to over 7 figures. So now I'm really passionate about showing newbies, like people just getting started in real estate, how to create financial freedom, break free from their 9 to 5, and just go all in wholesaling house from home anywhere in the country. And even if you're seasoned, I can show you how to grow to and take next steps there. But today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be continuing the series we started last week, which I like to call Virtual Wholesaling Foundations. Now, these foundations calls, like Tracy said, are super important and powerful because there are too many trainings online and just different complicated directions people are going now with AI and all these different tools that you can use and everything. It can be overwhelming to try to figure out where to start, or, hey, I'm stuck at this point. How do I get to this point, right? So there's a lot of different places on the mountain, and wherever you're finding yourself, the goal of these foundations calls is to bring it back to the basics, keep it simple, and really just lift the cap off of your potential so you can experience the financial freedom and time freedom that you truly desire. So that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I see a lot of people posting questions here. Love it. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and dive in. So I'm going to share my screen here. And like Tracy said, last week, we started these foundations calls. Give me 1 second, with mindset, picking a territory, and then picking a marketing channel. Those are the 3 tabs that we went into last week. And those are all important because I started off like with mindset, because mindset is the foundation for everything, for all future success you're gonna have in real estate. Having the right mindset is key. So if you missed that session, you want to go back and watch that one from last week, because there's a ton of gold in there that you can use and implement today to get your mind right and start having the success you want. We talked about picking a territory last week, right? So we showed you how to find the hottest territories across the country. We had some amazing people dropping comments where their territories were, and seeing if it was a good place to wholesale houses from home. And so we broke down that, and we really dove deep into the territories last week, and then picking a marketing channel. You all know that I love outbound. I love cold calling, and that's the way that we've really seen the most growth in our business. But this works with different types of marketing channels. Let's say your thing is direct mail, your thing is texting. Like, you can do this with any of those. But again, cold calling, I love it because you can do it yourself, keep your overhead low. Once you get it down, you get some deals, you put other people in place to make the calls for you, and then you can grow dramatically from there. So that's the reason why I picked that. But today, we're going to kick it off here with step number 3 of the 5 baby steps to wholesaling houses from home anywhere in the country. Okay. Now, Tracy mentioned that I have a strategy called the FYBF method, right? FYBF method is so important because it's one of the things that most wholesalers totally ignore when they're first getting started. And I believe when you're first getting started, before you even start marketing for sellers, this is why it's step 3, not step 4. I believe you should find your buyer first. See, a lot of wholesalers, they make wholesaling way too complicated. They will focus on locking up a deal because their coaches and gurus have said, if you find a good deal, it'll sell itself. Well, you know what? If you're just getting started, you don't really know what a good deal looks like. How can it sell itself? So a lot of wholesalers, they find themselves locking up deals with sellers that might not even be deals at all. And then they're, giving themselves a heart attack, racing the clock in 14 days, trying to get that property sold. And it just really makes it miserable. That was how I started out. And I was like, man, I don't know if this wholesaling thing's for me. This is like a lot of stress, and it wasn't until that I flipped steps 3 and 4. So normally what people do is they market for sellers, like I said, and then they market for cash buyers frantically. But once I flipped those 2 steps, I had a lot more peace in my business, and I was actually able to grow a lot faster and lock up a lot better deals. A lot of wholesalers, what they'll do is they'll lock up deals, put deals under contract in bad areas where buyers are not buying, and they're just kind of like all over the map. That was one of the biggest questions that I had when I first started was, where do I start? Okay, I've picked a territory, but where do I start? How do I know what the good areas are and the ones to stay away from, right? So that is intel right there that you're going to get from your buyers, okay? So let's dive into the FYBF method, and I'd encourage you to flip these steps to where buyers come first and then motivated sellers, and watch as you have more success, you drop fewer deals, and you make more money, right? So let's dive in here. Okay, so we're going to start at the top here. So the first thing, I was going to ask you guys a question, but I kind of revealed the answer here, but that's okay. So guys, what do you think the biggest expense is in your wholesaling business? A lot of people think it's something else, but this really is the number one biggest cost in your wholesaling business. So go ahead and drop a comment of what you think that is, and we'll go ahead and I'll give you a hint. There's a big clue on the screen.
Yeah, there is a big clue there. And I am giving away a $25 Amazon gift card to the person who is the most active in the chat today.
Boom. Love
Fire up
that.
this chat. Last week we gave a book away to Andrea. So the more responsive you are, the more questions you ask, the more comments, the more engaged, the more your chances of winning are. So let's get this going.
Love that. Love that. Okay, marketing. So this is that's a popular one. Go ahead, Tracy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, not at all. I'm just throwing up on the screen what they're saying. Come on, guys, let's go.
Yep. We got marketing here. We got drop deals. Are there other networking steps that might be advantageous to making the process more efficient that a newbie could add? Yep, definitely. We're going to get into that here in a second. All right, so I'm going to give it to you here. So I can't see the person's name who said drop deals. You got to accept the StreamYard terms and conditions, and that way I can see your name. But yes, drop deals are the biggest expense in your wholesaling business, right? And it's the expense that people don't really think about. Because think about it, guys. You are spending a lot of money or a lot of time, one of the two, maybe a combination of the both, right? Getting deals under contract. And if having buyers is the way that you can make money, and by not having them, you don't make money, dropping a deal that you can't sell because you didn't have a buyer for it is a huge expense, right? So this is why I've never understood why people go after sellers first, because if you can't sell the deal, like, you wasted all that time and money. So keep in mind, guys, drop deals are very expensive. It's the biggest expense you're going to have in your wholesaling business. So that's why I believe in the FYBF method, find your buyer first. Okay. So your first step. So I'm all about taking action, not just sitting there and going through education and courses and all that stuff. I'm really big on action, and I want to give you guys some steps that you can take today to go out and start growing your buyers list very, very quickly. Okay. So, so your first step today that I want you guys to go out and do once you leave this call is I want you to go out and get 100 buyers. Okay. It's much easier than you might think. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find out what they want, go shopping for what they want. And when you pair them together, it makes doing deals so much easier. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the 3 types of buyers. See, a lot of people think that cash buyers are the only type of buyer that you want to have on your list. Okay. And cash buyers, while it's a great contact to have on your list because they're the ones directly buying the deals, most wholesalers keep their buyers list very small and sell very few deals because they're not adding these other 2 important types of contacts to their list. All right. And these other 2 contacts are wholesalers and realtors. Okay. So first let's talk about where to find cash buyers, and then I'll talk about wholesalers and realtors. So one of the best ways that you can find cash buyers when you're first getting started, even if you've been doing this for a long time and you don't have a cash buyer list that is as big enough as you want, or you're looking to grow your cash buyers list, Facebook groups are one of the best ways, I don't care what anybody else says, to find cash buyers. Okay. I want you to think about this, right? So you have a bunch of pawns, okay, all over the internet. And your job as a wholesaler is to find the pawns that have the most groups of buyers that are in there that want the bait that you have to offer. And that is going to be your deal, right? So it makes sense to find cash buyers in Facebook groups because it's a bunch of people all getting together that are all in the group for one reason. They want deals, right? They want to do deals. So it really makes sense to go here and network first. Get cash buyers on your list from here. And the way you want to do that is you want to find deal posts in the group, okay? Where other wholesalers have posted deals for sale. And then you're going to scroll through the comments of people saying, I'm a buyer, I'm a buyer, I'm a buyer. And you're going to reach out to them through a DM on Facebook. And you're going to see if they're still actively buying in the area, because maybe that post is from a few months or something like that, right? And if they are, great. I have your email here. Is this the best email for you? If you like, I can get you added to my off-market VIP list. And they're going to say, yes, fantastic. What's the best phone number for you? You're going to get their phone number, and you're going to start growing a list of cash buyers that you can eventually sell your deals to, okay? Now, you're going to be adding these cash buyers to a list in an email marketing service. Now, I know it sounds complicated, but what it is it's just simply a service that allows you to send send one email to multiple groups of contacts all at once with one click of a button. Okay, MailChimp is the one I recommend everybody start out with because it's free, and you can have, I believe, up to 1,000 buyers on your list for no charge. Right. So you're going to take all these emails once you got their permission. You're going to add them to your list in MailChimp, and you're going to also put where they're buying. Okay, so you want to find out if they're on your list, you need to notate if they're a cash buyer, wholesaler, or a realtor. You want to add the area that they're buying and their email and phone number. Those are the things that you want to have on your list. So that way, when you send out a deal in the future, you can target a group of people by the location. You can target a group of people by the type of buyer they are, right? There's lots of stuff you could do there, but don't overcomplicate this. It's an easy step. Go ahead and get a MailChimp account, set it up, and start growing your cash buyer list today. Okay, cash buyers are great because they have money. So cash buyers typically buy properties using one of two things. They either use cash, so their own cash, or they will use hard money, which is like an investor mortgage. But either way, cash buyers are a great resource to have on your list. And another way that you can get cash buyers is using a service called PropStream. So you can get it by going to this link right here, getpropstreamnow.com. The reason why I like PropStream is because you can look up properties that have sold. It will tell you who the buyer was, and then you can click a button and get that buyer's phone number right in PropStream. So I love that. Then you pick up the phone and you say, hey, I saw that you recently bought a property off of Main Street there. I have a property 2 streets over. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? And he's going to say yes or no. If he says yes, fantastic. I'll send this over to you. And by the way, what's the best mail for you? I can get you added to my list for future properties. Boom, growing your buyers list at light speed. Okay, so that's how you do it with cash buyers. Now, these conversations are going to be the same in the Facebook groups, wholesalers and realtors. Wholesalers can get eyeballs on your deals that you could never get anywhere else. Okay. Like a lot of people, when I first started, I was told that you couldn't do deals with other wholesalers because other wholesalers did what you do and you can't wholesale a wholesale, right? But that couldn't be further from the truth. Other wholesalers are not your competition. They can actually help put your deals in front of a lot of buyers. And it's very important when you're first getting started to work with wholesalers, because when I first got started, I joined I would say all of my deals for the first year and a half that I was in business. I found this awesome wholesaler that was in our territory, found him in a Facebook group. And, he had a massive buyers list, and I was struggling building a buyers list. Back then, when I started 10 years ago, you only had a couple of options to grow your buyers list, right? You could send postcards, right? Which took a long time and it took forever to add people to your list. You could go to the foreclosure auction steps and network with buyers, which took a lot of time, right? You could post an ad in the newspaper or put out a plastic sign called a bandit sign. I don't know if you guys know what that is, right? But today, it is mind-blowing how much easier it is to grow your buyers list, right? So I found this wholesaler and I said, hey, listen, you have buyers. I don't have buyers, right? But I have deals and we're locking up great deals and we just need to move these deals, right? So I moved all my deals to another wholesaler and split the profits 50-50 with him for the first year and a half I was in business. And that gave me the consistency and they gave me the confidence to be able to move forward and grow eventually our company to over 7 figures, right? But I would never have had that confidence or that the encouragement to keep going had I not done that. So wholesalers can be great and they can be a fantastic way to get your deals sold. Again, they're not your competition. They have relationships you can find them in Facebook groups. And when you reach out, those people I mentioned that were commenting on deals, not all of them are cash buyers. Some of them, they're either going to be one of 3 types of contacts. They're either going to be a cash buyer, a wholesaler, or a realtor, right? So you want to find out, are they a cash buyer, wholesaler, or realtor? They'll tell you. And then from there, if they're a wholesaler, you're going to say, great. What's the best email for you and get you added to my buyers list? And I'll let you know as soon as we have some new deals come out, and I'd love to work with you, right? So the big thing that you want to make sure when you're working with other wholesalers is that you tell them to not blast your deal all over social media. Don't put it up on Zillow. Don't put it on Craigslist, nothing like that, right? You can send it to your buyers list on a one-to-one basis. Like if they know a buyer off the top of their head, they can bring the deal to them, fantastic. Or they can send the deal out to their list, but you do not want them mass marketing your deal. You got to make that very clear. And if someone does do that, just let them know that you have a one strike policy, where if you find your deal mass marketed without your permission, then they're immediately taken off your list. And so that'll kill any future business there. And so they're not going to want to do that. And that way they always operate with integrity. Okay. Finding them in Facebook groups. Again, you can actually find wholesalers on PropStream. Okay. So PropStream is great again, because you're going to look at a cash sale and you can see if a wholesaler sold it to them, if the wholesaler closed on it and then sold the deal within 30 days to somebody else. So that's how you can look that up in PropStream. It's pretty neat. You're just going to look for all sales that were bought and sold within the same month, and you can find other wholesalers doing deals, which is pretty cool there. So wholesalers are great to have on your list. The next type of person that you want to have on your list here is a realtor. Okay, realtors are not the devil, contrary to a lot of wholesalers. A lot of wholesalers say you can't work with realtors. Realtors are not good to work with, and they hate wholesalers. Not the truth. Couldn't be further from the truth, right? I've had realtors bring buyers for deals that I've had that I could have never came into contact with. Realtors that have buyers that live in Canada, out of the country, bring buyers for our deals, and they pay the most because they're used to buying properties that are listed with a realtor publicly. And so there's a lot of competition for those properties. And so I love when a realtor brings a buyer. And what we'll always tell realtors is say, hey, listen, you can bring a buyer for our deals, no problem. Just go ahead and add your commission on top. So if I'm selling the deal at 150 and you want to make 5K, just add 5K to the top of that and you can keep that 100%, right? So they're usually good with that, and they like that. And guys, realtors right now are struggling for deals, okay? Especially with the new laws that went in place affecting commissions and how much realtors can make. Basically, the law that went in place said that other realtors cannot offer commissions to other realtors bringing buyers, right? Publicly in a listing, okay? And so there's a lot of buyer's agents out there who bring buyers for properties where now it's like, are they going to get paid? Maybe. Do they get paid a little bit? Who knows, right? So they're dying to work with people like us that have no problem paying them what they're worth, right? So always, always, always make sure to have realtors on your list, okay? They're not your competition. They have relationships you don't. Again, you can find them on Facebook groups. You can find them in PropStream. There's a list in PropStream that I absolutely love, and that list is called the Flippers Agents, and it's basically agents that have listed fixer-uppers, right? So chances are they have buyers for those deals too. And so you can reach out to them, has their phone number right there inside PropStream, which is pretty awesome. And then lastly here, you can find realtors on Zillow and Realtor.com. There's a spot on Realtor.com where you can literally type in the zip code of your property and find all the agents there and just give agents a call and see if they have a buyer for your deal. Super simple, guys. Just do not overcomplicate this process. Contacts lead to contracts and also leads to buyer connections, okay? So the three types of buyers you want on your list is cash buyers, wholesalers, and realtors. And you want to your first 100 buyers as quickly as possible. Here's how you do it. You're going to add 5 buyers to your list every single day. 5 buyers to your list, and it could be one of these 3 types of contacts here. A combination of one of these 3 types of contacts: cash buyers, wholesalers, or realtors. 5 of those on your list every day. Over the course of 30 days, right? You're going to have 150 buyers by the end of the year. You're going to have over 1,200 buyers just from this one strategy, right? So super powerful. Find your buyer first and put this in place. I'm going to pause here real quick because I've been talking for a minute. Want to see if anyone has any questions. Let's see.
How would someone make sure they vet their buyers so that they can build a good, solid list?
Great question. So there's a simple question that I like to ask people when I'm vetting them in the beginning. And there's a lot of people that say, you want to ask these buyers a ton of questions before you add them on your list. You want them to send you bank statements showing they have cash and prove they're a real buyer and all this stuff. I don't care about that stuff in the beginning, right? I'm all about lead generation. That's what this is. This is lead generation, getting buyers on your list. When I do care about that stuff, is when they're about to make an offer on one of my deal. That's when I care. So I don't drill down too deep in the beginning because you don't need to. It's a waste of time. He's going to be like, cool, you want to see my bank statements? Show me your list of deals that you claim that you have, right? And you're going to be like, So, because seriously, like a lot, that's funny, but a lot of gurus out there, they will say, go ahead and do marketing for buyers and tell these buyers that you're closing 20 properties a month and you always have deals. And then if a buyer asks you, do you have any properties right now? You just tell them, oh, sorry, man, we just sold them all, but I'll keep you posted on the next round. Right. Come on. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It can get pretty ridiculous out there for sure. A lot of drama in this space, but you know what, Chris, we can control the drama with terms in our contracts, establishing solid relationships and expectations up front. And that's 100%. How you control the drama. I think sometimes, Chris, I could be wrong, but new wholesalers sometimes think they're at everyone's mercy. But you're establishing your business foundation and the frameworks for which you're going to be, out there in the marketplace. You need to take that seriously and know what those things are up front. Otherwise, you will get swallowed whole.
I could not even agree more. Couldn't agree more with that. The question that you want to ask to vet the buyers here, this one little question you want to ask is really powerful. You want to ask them, are you looking to buy, like if a buyer reaches out about your deal, are you looking to buy this property for yourself? Or are you looking to bring a buyer, right? That one question will immediately uncover if that person is a wholesaler, a realtor, or a cash buyer, right? And so that's the vetting question that I use when people reach out about my deals. But in the beginning, the only way that I vet them is I just ask them if they're a cash buyer, wholesaler, or realtor. And that's it. And just where they're buying. And that's pretty much all I ask them.
I threw up another question on the screen. Are there other networking steps that might be advantageous to making the process more efficient that a newbie could add?
Yeah, so keep it simple, guys. The two most popular networking steps that I can tell you, two most popular and the best, is Facebook DMs and picking up the phone. Those are the two ways that you're going to build your buyers list. And there's going to be a lot of people who want to try and build a buyers list passively, like they don't actually want to talk to people. They just want to put a bunch of emails on a list and pray that these people magically want to buy from them. Guys, this is a people business and a relationship business, okay? So you need to build connections with these buyers. You need to take an interest in what their goals are, because if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Read a book called The Go-Giver. It's a really good book. And that is the mentality you need to approach wholesaling. And if you approach wholesaling in that way, then you will set yourself up for success.
Love that. All right. Are there marketing tactics that will work better for certain areas? And how do I figure that out?
So you know what the cool thing is, and I'm assuming you're talking just about buyers, but the cool thing is this marketing tactic that I share with you, there's two main ones, like finding buyers on PropStream and then Facebook. Those are the two best ones that you can use right off the bat. And that actually works anywhere in the country. And that's why I love them, because they're so simple.
Love that.
And if you're in a territory and you're not seeing a Facebook group in your territory, then go to the next neighboring city and I guarantee you there's buyers in there that will buy where your property is.
Yes. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right.
100% network.
We did that one already. Hold on one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, online wholesalers are a great marketing strategy. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm scrolling. We've got a lot of comments going on here.
Love that.
That's not it. Here we go. Sarah wants to know, what is the best way to approach the realtors? How do you start that conversation? What are you prepping ahead of time to ensure those relationships are solid and that everyone's getting something from it? It's a mutual thing, right?
Yep, 100%. So you're just going to reach out to these realtors and you're basically going to say, hey, I saw that you're a local realtor in the area here. Wanted to see if you have buyers for investment properties. If you have cash buyers for investment properties. Don't overthink this, guys. Like, this is super simple, right? So you just want to ask them if they have cash buyers for investment properties, and they're going to say yes. And if so, fantastic, great. What's the best email for you? I'll add your phone number to my list too, and I can let you know as soon as we get our next deal, right? If they say no, no problem. Move on. That's it. Just keep it Keep it very simple. And you're just going to ask them if they have cash buyers for investment properties, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently they don't like wholesalers in Vegas. So what do I say to them? So Chris, I understand this mindset a little bit depending on where you're from. I know you're a marketing owner also, of course.
Yeah.
I remember there's a way in which you finesse the conversation. You're transparent and honest because you only want to work with people anyway that are on the same page with you. There's a lot of things out there where people are lying, that they're they're not wholesalers, they're somebody else. And so how do you kind of address that and kind of break the barrier between people having that stigma that we don't like wholesalers, that statement?
I love this. I love this. And I was actually going to answer this question differently before you said that, Tracy. So I actually have a better answer for this now.
Okay.
So here's the thing. What you have to think about, if you're looking to do deals with realtors, you have to think about, what does that realtor want to avoid? Okay. What is the one thing that they want to avoid? They want to avoid someone saying they're a buyer for a deal, right? Who's not the buyer, who doesn't have a buyer, who is going to waste their time and their client's time, right? And giving their client false hopes that their home sold, only for the wholesaler to come back and say, you know what, I've changed my mind. Thanks. Have a great day. Right? That's what they want to avoid. So knowing that that's what they want to avoid, right? You want to approach them with confidence. Okay. So you want to approach them with confidence, telling them exactly who you are, what you do. Say, hey, my name's Chris. I'm a local wholesaler here in the Vegas market. And I'm sure you've had a lot of wholesalers reach out to you and talk with you about properties, but I actually have a really strong buyers list. And I've noticed this property has been sitting on the market here for 90 days. I have buyers that are really hungry for properties in this area. So that being said, I feel very confidently I can get this one sold. So what would it take to get things going today? Right? And they're going to tell you. So, and you can say, are you open to those types of relationships? Right? And if they say, no, I'm not open to those types of relationships, no problem. Right? But keep tabs on that property. And when it goes another month and it hasn't sold, contact them again. Hey, I know you said you weren't open to this, but I want to reach out to you and let you know again, I have buyers that are hungry for properties in this area. I feel very confident I get this thing sold. So let me know what you'd like to do. Right? And then they will tell you. So the thing is, when you're first getting started, you don't want to approach realtors as the buyer and say you have buyers when you don't, because that can cause a lot of issues. But once you get more seasoned, right, and you have buyers, a large buyers list, and you know how to move deals, and you're very confident you can get them sold, maybe at that point you can approach it a little bit differently as the buyer. But the whole thing, guys, is the realtor does not want to waste their client's time. They don't want to waste their own time, and they want to know that you're going to be able to perform. That's their biggest thing, is knowing that you're going to be able to perform. And all you have to do is show them that you're different than everybody else. So it's not like all realtors hate wholesalers. There's just certain realtors that do, right? It's the same thing, like there are title companies you guys will go to that'll say, hey, wholesaling's illegal, right? Wholesaling's not illegal, but there's just certain title companies who don't know any better or have had some really bad experiences with wholesalers and they don't want to work with you. So if you focus on a relationship, building that relationship and building confidence in what you have to offer in the service and showing them how it can help them, then you're going to put yourself in a much better position.
Yeah. And don't give a trash offer. Know your numbers, right, Chris?
100%.
All right. So Peg's asking, Tracy, are you talking about JV contracts? I mentioned a couple of things about setting terms up front. If you're in a relationship with a wholesaler, Chris mentioned not having them blast the deal out there until maybe you go through your first layer of cash buyers. You want those terms up front. So you want to include that on a contract with the JV partner, as well as if you're working with a real estate agent. I mentioned, do not sign an all-encompassing a contract with a term with a buyer's agent, because you're only going to function with them on a deal-to-deal basis. If you're going to go and sign any kind of a contract with an agent that you're going to be working with them on a particular deal, set those expectations up that It's only on this property, 123 Main Street. It's not going to be for every deal that you have, if that makes sense. So that wouldn't be a smart move. So I hope that answers your question, Peg. Let's see here. We got another question. Do the terms in the contract also help with daisy chaining? Or is this just a part of wholesaling that we all have to deal with?
Yeah, so daisy chaining. So here's the thing. So I think there's a mix up between what people think daisy chaining means and what it actually is, right? Some people confuse joint venturing and daisy chaining, and they're the same thing. They're totally different, right? So daisy chaining is if you're a wholesaler, you see a deal posted on Facebook, you don't reach out to the wholesaler that has the deal, and you're just marketing their deals without their permission. That's number one, illegal, because you're getting into the activities of real estate, and you could have some jail time because of that and some fines and all that. So you don't want to do that. There's a lot of bad wholesalers out there that do that. I've even had my own deal. I've even had someone try to sell my own deal back to me for a $15,000 markup. And I'm like, dude, like, come on, this is my, this is my deal, you know? So that's daisy chaining, right? Joint venturing is like Tracy said, where you actually have paperwork in place and they're bringing a buyer for it, and they have some type of control over the deal to where they can move forward with their buyer if you guys agreed on a price, right? So when we joint venture with other wholesalers, what we typically do is we'll put a simple one-page option agreement in place. It's very simple. It just states that the other person has the right to promote my property to their list, right? And then what happens when they bring a buyer and they say, hey, I have a buyer, all I do is just replace that with an assignment of contract, right? So I just assign my contract to that wholesaler. He assigns the contract to the end buyer. Biggity boom, you're done. So, so the terms in the contract, the terms of your wholesale contract, your assignment contract you have with your buyer, that you're going to be assigning that over to that wholesaler, the terms in there will protect you, right? So in our assignment of contract, for example, it states that a wholesaler is not allowed to, or the buyer is not allowed to reassign our property without my permission. And if they do, it's a void contract. So that prevents a lot of daisy chainings. That's when people go under contract with me, I'm like, okay, so you are 100% buying this property, right? And if they say they're a wholesaler, I'll say, hey, okay, no problem. I love working with wholesalers. But just to be clear, are you closing on this deal 100% regardless if your buyer moves forward or not? And if they're like, well, then I'm like, find a buyer and get back with me, right? But if he says, yes, I'm gonna buy this deal regardless, at that point, I'm like, cool. And I treat him like a buyer and we move forward.
Awesome. Love that. Great information. I don't know if you want to pick up where you left off and we can come back to these questions, or do you want to keep going with the questions?
Yeah. So let's do that. We'll pick up where we left off. I love all these questions here. Actually, let's do this. Since these are all buyer related questions, let's go ahead and hit more of these, and then we'll go back to the sellers.
All right. So does virtual wholesaling also include emailing potential sellers as much as calling, or is the main way to reach out going to be calling only?
Let's save this one for the seller section. So this is a good one. Let's save that for the seller section.
All right. So I've had some not so investor friendly situations when trying to find people.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have tough skin here.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just asking the person, what do they mean when they said people?
Yeah. If you're talking about anybody out there that you're relating to, real estate agents, buyers, sellers, it's for the course. Asking for the A to B contract slows the daisy chain down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It prevents that negative pushing of your property out there without your knowledge. So, so if a wholesaler, so what this person's talking about, if someone has a deal, right, and let's say they want you to help them sell it. If they say they have the contract on it with the seller, you could say, hey, show me the contract and make sure you have the seller, and then we can move forward. So that does slow it down.
And you can redact your numbers on that A to B if you want to, and hold your position there. I think they're referring to, when they say anyone, LOL, and realtors, title companies, talking about these situations. So pretty much anyone, exactly. All right, we're caught up in the questions, I believe, for the moment. We've got a $25 Amazon gift card we're giving out for the most involved person in the chat and the comments, asking questions and responding to keep this pretty fun and exciting. So if that's you and you would love to be a part of that and maybe possibly win that, let's keep this going. Chris, you're going to take it from here, and then we'll ask some more questions.
Yep, awesome. So let's go ahead and dive into step 4, guys. So we've talked about step 3. So let's go ahead and talk about step 4 here, which is motivated sellers. Okay. Now I love talking about motivated sellers because motivated sellers, once you have your buyers in place, now we can start. You know, we put we put the right thing in place, the right thing first, which is getting our cash buyers set up. Now we ask those cash buyers where they're buying, the types of properties they want. Then we go out and we market for that, right? So it all starts out with marketing lists, okay? So the lists must have motivation, especially at a time like we're in right now, where there are interest rates that are through the roof, which is slowing down people wanting to buy to move into a home, right? Which affects our end buyer, because our end buyers, they buy properties from us and they fix them up and they resell them, right? But if it's taking longer to resell them because there's fewer buyers because of higher interest rates and not many people can afford houses with a higher interest rate, then what happens is the properties sit longer on the market, okay? And so that's a bad thing for buyers. And so what we want to make sure is sellers right now, to want to sell, to buy another house, they need to have motivation, okay? Must have motivation. And so we got to be selling properties at a little bit more of a conservative price too. So let's talk about motivation, okay? So you can do virtual driving for dollars. Deal Machine is a great source for doing that. That's a great list you can put together. You see properties with tarps on the roofs. You see properties with overgrown grass and all that stuff. Those can be great opportunities you can find with that. But one of my favorite types of motivation right now is senior owners, okay? People who are downsizing. This is a really, really big category of sellers right now. We have 10,000 baby boomers a day who are turning 65 every single day and wanting to retire. And so they are looking to downsize. They don't care about the interest rate. They don't care about how expensive houses are now, because they're going into something smaller or moving in with the kids, right? So that being said, targeting senior owners who are downsizing right now is a great way to get motivated sellers to work with. And they can be found in PropStream. So there's actually a senior owner list. You can click a button, pull that in PropStream. You can go to getpropstreamnow.com and get that list. But that is a great source of motivation. Vacant properties are great with how hard it is right now for properties to be vacant, because there's so much demand for rentals. If a property is vacant, that can be a really great opportunity for you. So vacant properties, inherited properties. Okay, inherited properties are fantastic to target right now, because guess what? The owner of inherited property doesn't care about. He doesn't care about the interest rate. He doesn't care about appreciation and how expensive houses are right now. He cares about getting cash for this house. He's not a landlord, doesn't want to manage it, wants to get rid of it. So inherited houses can be a great source of motivated sellers right now. So you can also pull that. And by the way, guys, all these lists you can pull in PropStream here. Okay. Liens. So a lien list. So a seller that has a property that has a $5,000 lien against it or more is a great list to target. Code violations. These types of issues are a big sign of motivation and a big reason why sellers would want to sell their properties. So I highly recommend focusing on properties with liens. These are really great sources of opportunity. Delinquent tax. So a lot of people pull this list in the wrong way. And what you need to do is you want to make sure to pull this list with people who are 2 years behind in their taxes or more. Okay. 1 year is not enough. Some people do just a delinquent tax list where people are a couple months behind on their taxes, and that is not good. You do not want to do that. You want to make sure that you make sure 2 years behind at least or more. So pre-foreclosure, this is a really good one. And if you're a new wholesaler just getting started, you want to target properties that don't have an auction date set. Okay, this is a really easy setting to click a few buttons in PropStream and set that. Main reason is because if you don't have a huge buyers list and you're not confident you can, sell their properties, I would not target pre-foreclosures with an auction date set, because you have a limited time to perform and that seller could lose their home. So you don't want that, right? But if it's a normal pre-foreclosure, pre-foreclosures can take a long time, depending on the state. In Florida, it could take 6, 12 months or more. And so that said, it's good to target this list, right? Tired landlords, another one of my favorites right now. Guess who doesn't care about the interest rates or appreciation or anything like that right now? People that don't want to deal with tenants and toilets anymore. So they're tired of that. They want to be done with it. And so they, at this point, are like, man, I thought I could time the market and I could sell at the top. Now things are on the other side of that, and I just need to cash out so I can retire, right? So I love targeting tired landlords. And again, this is a prop stream list who are in state and owners of rental properties that live out of state. This is 2 great lists you can pull right here. Okay. Probate. These are people that maybe had a relative pass away, and because the relative that lived at the property passed away, the house is sitting in what's called an estate, and it's not doing anything, right? It's just collecting expenses, and that's pretty much it, right? So the property has to go through a legal process called probate to transfer the property from the deceased owner to the beneficiary, whoever was named in the will or whoever that property was supposed to go to. Again, guess who doesn't care about interest rates or doesn't care about any of that stuff? If they're inheriting a property they weren't prepared to own, right? They want cash. They want to sell these properties. People going through divorce. Nobody wants to stay in the same house after they get divorced, right? They want to sell. Bankruptcy, fire damage. Guys, this is a very strategic list of sellers to market to right now under the current market conditions that we're in right now. This list, all these lists of sellers right here are the top lists you could target in this market and get the most motivated homeowners. Okay. So I highly recommend targeting these lists. Okay. I'm going to take a pause real quick. See if anybody has any questions on those, and then we're going to go from there. All right. So is there a huge difference between pre-foreclosures and foreclosures? Would I approach them quite differently? Yes. So pre-foreclosure, the seller still owns the property, the current owner. Foreclosure, the bank owns the property. So those are the 2 biggest differences. So if the bank owns the property and it's a foreclosure, sometimes that would be considered, that would also be considered what is called an REO, or real estate owned. The bank owns it, and at that point you have to negotiate with the bank to get the property. And so I don't recommend that. I'm always loving direct to seller. Once it goes to the bank, that motivation's over. There used to be a lot of motivation for banks when in the 2008, 2009 crash, when banks got a whole bunch of inventory because of all the foreclosures, right? At that point, the bank was the motivated seller. They did not want those properties. They wanted to get rid of them and sell them as quickly as possible. A lot of times, pennies on the dollar. In the situation we're in right now, with how properties have been appreciating, banks are like, please bring me your properties. If you can't take them, we will, and we will sell them and make a hefty profit, right? So a little bit different environment. And so you want to work with a motivated seller. And so pre-foreclosures are still with a motivated seller. There's nothing more motivated than someone losing their home.
100%. There's a heck of a lot more risk on the other side once it goes to the bank owned too, because usually it's sight unseen. You have to make an offer. You have no idea what you're getting. At least pre-foreclosures, you might be able to go and take a peek, walk the property.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Anybody have any other questions? We're at 12:50. I'm going to let you keep going, Chris.
Yeah. So again, must have motivation. Super important. Okay. Now, one of the things you can do, guys, is you can also combine motivation on lists to get more motivated sellers. So there's a software that you can get called Batch Leads, and you can upload multiple lists to it, and you could target a homeowner that's facing foreclosure, that lives out of state and has liens against their property. You can do that. You can also do this inside of PropStream, which is pretty cool. We've done trainings on this before where we pulled a list, a very targeted list of sellers who are in that same situation. They're facing foreclosure. They lived out of state and the property had liens against it or is vacant. And those are really great lists to go after. Here's a source. You can skip trace the properties you get. And you can get 6 cent skip tracing. So if you have a list of homeowners and you want the phone numbers, just upload them to this right here with this link, and you can get skip tracing for 6 cents a piece, right? So you can get a phone number for that. Keep in mind, guys, contacts lead to contracts. Really, really important. The more contacts you make, the more contracts you're going to get. Do not underestimate this simple tip when it comes to real estate. If you are reaching out to a lot of people, you're going to get results. If you're not reaching out to a lot of people, you're not going to get results, right? It's a lot of the times I find people that say, oh, I'm not doing any deals. What am I doing wrong? In most cases, they're not doing anything at all. So that's the first step there. So you want to take action. Very important. There's 4 pillars of motivation that we find when we're talking to sellers. And this is what this is what we look at to find out how motivated a seller is. Okay. And this is the proven formula to give you a 100% clear picture of what's going on with that seller. So every call that you make to a seller, you want to get 4 things. You want to find the 4 pillars of motivation: price, timeline, motivation, and condition. Okay, those 4 things. How much they hoping to get for the property. If they were going to sell to me or anybody else, what type of time frame would they be considering selling in, right? Would they consider selling within 90 days? Motivation. So it seems like a nice property you got here. What's got you wanting to sell, right? And then lastly, condition. Have you done any remodeling to the kitchen or bathroom in the last 5 years? Okay. So all those will give you the info that you need to be able to see if that seller's motivated and you can offer together that could work for them. The biggest mistake I see wholesalers make is they don't spend enough time here on motivation. Okay. Motivation is where you spend the most of your call. And we've actually clocked it down to a science. You want to shoot for your calls with sellers to last around 30 minutes. We found the magic number is like 37 minutes. So if you spend 37 minutes on a call, that's considered a great phone call, and you're going to get all the info that you need to be able to make that seller an offer. Let's see here.
Go
ahead.
No, where is the best way to determine the best scripts for each type of motivated seller?
So guys, oh, sorry, Tracy. I keep cutting out.
No, it's okay.
Help me here.
Not to worry. I got it too. I hear you. We're on fire here. If you're just stopping by, this is Chris Logan. He's our expert in-house multi-7-figure virtual wholesaler and coach. He brings all this value, which you can see. We're getting tons of feedback and questions and comments, and we're at the point where we're almost wrapping it up. We've got a few more minutes. We're going to answer this question, Chris. This is from one of our Facebook viewers. The best way to determine the best scripts for each type of motivated seller. So they're obviously different, right?
So here's the thing. So again, we're keeping this simple, guys. So a lot of people will tell you there's a tax delinquent script, there's a vacant script, there's a bird dog script, there's a pre-foreclosure script. No, I've found the best thing is to treat all these houses the same way and use the same script across the entire blanket, right? When you start mentioning the situation, you either come across an ambulance chaser, someone who preys on people that are falling on hard times, or you come across as creepy altogether, right? People know their information's out there, but they just don't want it thrown in their face, right? So especially when they're going through something sensitive like bankruptcy, foreclosure, or a divorce, right? You never would want to call somebody up and say, hey, I saw in public records you're going through a divorce here. So you've been thinking of selling it all? Or when do you guys think you're going to sell that house? Because I know you don't want to live there. No. I made the mistake one time of customizing a postcard for a tax delinquent homeowners who were facing foreclosure. And I went ahead and sent that in the mail. We had like a 75% response rate. It was absolutely bananas. And I felt bad for my wife, Heather, who was handling the calls at the time. She was getting hammered with people saying how embarrassed they were because their mailman, who has delivered their mail for years, who they know, saw the card and asked them if they're falling on hard times. And yeah, it's a great way to get sued or get into deep water there. So don't do that. Thank God that didn't happen to us. But mistake made once, never happen again.
I love that. That's so great. And this is where you have an experienced person like Chris, and Chris is raising the standard out there for wholesalers. He's setting a standard, and lean in and really pay attention, because these are mistakes that I have seen so many times out there. and why a lot of people turn away from the business or are turned off by those that are in the business. But if you set the standards high, like Chris is presenting here, and you do keep it simple and you follow what he's teaching, you're going to be off to an incredible start of building a solid foundation in your virtual wholesaling business. So, hey, we're glad you're here. Chris, I don't know if you have a few more things to wrap up on the screen.
Yep,
But
I got 2 more things, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Perfect.
Awesome. So these last 2 right here. So the 80-90 rule. So let's talk about that. Okay. So what I found is that if you are talking with a seller over the phone, okay, and you want to find out if they're motivated, there's 2 things you can look for right off the bat that'll help you instantly qualify these sellers. You guys want to know what that is? Go ahead and drop a comment if you want to know what that is, and then I will go ahead and dive into it here. Once I see those comments, I'll go in. Boom. Great. Awesome. So Anastasia, Tracy, I'll leave that question to you over there.
All right. Where the heck is it? These are flying by fast. Yeah, keep throwing out yes if you're interested. Where is the best way to determine the best? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, the next one there.
I stumbled across this Facebook Live meeting. Hey, welcome in, Anastasia. We are glad you're here. How often do you do these meetings so I can put it on my calendar? This is great stuff. Thank you so much. We're honored you're here and that you took a few minutes out of your busy day. Every Wednesday we connect. And if you're not in the group, I'll drop a link in the chat to join our group, where Chris is also on the inside providing additional value if you found this to be valuable. Anastasia, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're live on my Facebook as well as in our group, mostly in the group. Sometimes I throw it out to everyone and put it on YouTube as well. And so I'll drop the link in the chat, and then you can join the group. It's free. And we offer these trainings weekly. So glad you came across us. That's awesome.
100%. So I'm going to get these last 2 points out here, and then we are going to wrap up here. But one of the things that I shared with you before is how can you instantly qualify sellers? Okay, so I'm going to show you real quick a property here in Houston, Texas. I just pulled a random property off of Zillow, and so what we look for is if a seller is willing to sell for 80% of this number, and they're willing to sell within 90 days, we have found that to be the magic combination there, where that is typically a seller who has a high chance of moving forward with you, right? So 80% of this estimate, and within in willing to sell within 90 days, that is an extremely motivated seller. And we found that it takes usually only about 10 of those to get a contract. So really a solid list of motivated homeowners. And again, if they're willing to sell, if their number they're coming out with, the first number they tell you is 80% of this estimate, and willing to sell in 90 days, fantastic opportunity to get that seller to move forward. So if you have a lot of leads you're talking to, that's a great way to pick out the best ones. And the last thing I'll close with here, guys, the offer that you don't make is the offer they can't take. Okay, so if you're not getting enough deals, if you're not, happy with where you are, you got to make more offers. How do you get more offers? You got to get more leads. Okay, and then you got to know how to do that. So if you're someone that is saying, hey, I love this. This seems great, and I'm really just kind of looking to go deeper with this and take next steps, and I'd really like to work with you one-on-one. So I do have a coaching program. It's called Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple, where you can apply to work with me one-on-one. And if you'd like to apply, Tracy's going to drop that link here in the comments. It's virtualwholesalingmadesimple.com. You can go to that link. You can apply to work with me. Make sure when you fill out the form on that page that you're detailed in your responses, because I can't work with everybody. But if you go there, you fill that out, and I like what you have to say, I'll consider bringing you on as a coaching client, and I'll look forward to connecting with you. But that's what I have for you guys today. Hope you guys got value out of this. Talking about cash buyers, find your buyer first. Sellers, the offer you don't make is the offer they can't take. And that's what I have for you this week. And next week, we'll continue with selling the deal, how to sell your deals once you got them under contract.
That's awesome. I love that. And hope I got that one right today. Let's see if it pops up right. I'm seeing yes, that's great. By the way, my name wasn't coming up. My name is Kata. Hey, Kata, thanks so much for
What's
helping
happening?
out the group and being a part of it and helping, move things along in the chat. We appreciate you. And for all of those who have commented and threw out questions and comments, we're excited that you're excited because, Chris brings a lot of energy, mainly because he loves what he does and he's good at it. And so if you want to take that next step, I did put that. Hopefully I did that right, Chris. Let's
Yep,
see.
looks
Get
good.
it all in there. Okay. So if you want to take that next step with coaching, I highly recommend Chris Logan, obviously, because he is the only coach that's in our group for a good reason. And he gets tremendous results. He's 100% results for one-on-one coaching, for example, in his coaching business. So he guarantees those results and he has very good markers of time for you're not going to spin your wheels wasting endless amounts of time and money. So keep that in mind. You're going to get the results. They're guaranteed. Check it out. Do the discovery call with Chris. He's fantastic on those. And, Chris, you usually do something special for this group. How are
Oh,
they going
yes.
to? Yeah, go ahead and share that. That'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So, guys, if you come from this group, we're going to be giving you guys a gift valued at least $500. And all you have to do is when you apply for coaching, there's a part that says, how did you hear about us? What you want to do is you want to put Tracy in that little field right there. And then we're going to give you a CRM, like a real estate CRM. So that's valued at $500.
That's huge. That's amazing. Thank you, Chris, for your generosity of your time, your resources, your intellectual property that you share so readily and put out all of the things that you have really learned. I love that you refined it for us and kept it simple. We're going to be back again next week at the regular scheduled time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live. In the group, I did drop a link in the chat for those of you on my basic Facebook profile. For those of you who are just scrolling by and didn't even know we existed, please click that link. Invite any of your real estate investing friends that would be very motivated to learn from a top level virtual wholesaler like Chris, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of talking heads, and it's really important to dial that down and just kind of laser focus in on just a couple of people. And we're hoping that we are that to you. And so thank you. I also want to mention out there, I'm connected with an amazing virtual assistant business out there that's just kind of getting going. And it's top tier, really, virtual assistants that are being trained by my good friend, Kathy. And she would love, I'm going to drop the link in the comments a little bit more up about her. Rise up, free up, scale up, elevate your business, and liberate your time with a top tier virtual assistant. So if you're in business and you're finding yourself challenged trying to pull it together because you've got full-time work and you can, maybe want to add somebody in to offset some of those admin tasks, highly recommend and endorse Kathy's company. I will drop that information here in the chat. Kathy, if you happen to be here in the chat, feel free. I think she shared earlier in the beginning of the chat who she was. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. But that's it for today. We're really grateful for y'all's time and thanks for being here with us.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Tracy, for having me. I appreciate it. And everyone, have a great rest of your week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Easy.